Good afternoon and welcome. Welcome indeed to another edition of Yes Titans Talk right here on the Mark Mosey Show. And we're always broadcasting Yes, here in Melbourne, Florida. And this great segment is always sponsored by Eastern Florida Athletics. And right now, we got to talk about a new tennis season there at Eastern Florida. And we're here with the official tennis coach for the men's and women's program. Yes, Nick Rosatti. Coach, how you doing today?
That's right. Doing really well. Thanks so much for having me, Mark.
Yeah, we were talking off air, okay, how to pronounce the last name. So you got to let our listeners and our viewers know. I know people screw it up, but it's Rosatti, correct, Coach?
Correct. Okay. Rosatti, not Rosati.
Okay, I know you get that a lot. How excited are you for a new season of Eastern Florida tennis?
No, I'm really stoked. Already really inheriting a really successful team that the last coach, Bobby Cashman, had built. The men are primed to be able to make a national championship run this season. So it's really exciting to kind of take over what he had already really built. And really with the kind of the environment of the junior college landscape, there's really not that many contenders, if that makes sense. There's a few schools that have a monopoly on the sport. And so thank goodness Eastern Florida State is one of them. So it's going to be a really fun year and we'll see how far we can go.
Okay, so you personally, how excited are you to be the coach, taking on this?
Really? Well, if anyone's ever seen my background, I've been in Division II tennis for the last 6 years, won 2 Division II national championships the last 2 years, back-to-back with Valdosta State University. And so have won, already at a level higher than a national championship as an assistant. So now I'm super excited to get those accolades as the head coach.
Have you ever been to the area before taking on this job?
So yeah, so I actually played junior college tennis at Abraham Baldwin Agricultural College back in 2015, and we played against Eastern Florida all the time. We played against them at neutral sites. We played against them at nationals. We didn't play in Melbourne, but then interesting enough, 2 years ago, I ran the Daytona 100 ultra marathon. So I was kind of in the area and ran a 50-mile race over here. So I've been through the area a little bit. But it's a lot nicer to be living here rather than just visiting.
You make it sound like you walked from Daytona for the job interview to Melbourne. Is that what happened, Coach?
No, not quite. But it's a nice balance when you're on court all day and when you're coaching and when tennis is your life. I need a break in another form of tennis. So running is kind of taken over.
What was it like when you got the phone call? You're going to be the coach there at Eastern Florida.
Kind of just froze a little bit. You get all these great leads. You have a million ideas that run inside your head whenever you think about a new prospect, a new opportunity. And then whenever it actually happens, you're just in go mode and you drop everything, you move, you relocate, you start over. And so it's, it's exciting, and moving was kind of difficult, but so I'm happy to really be here and get situated for this season. And I'm really just trying to get a bunch of check marks in the W column for Titan tennis.
Okay, I asked this to every coach on campus, so you're up next. What is your style of play? Like, what's your brand that you want to bring to your student athletes and for fans to watch you guys? What's that going to be all about for the tennis program?
So really physical conditioning, and you can ask any of the players. I've already told them the story a million times. The videos on YouTube as well. Really my claim to fame was having guys who were just physically better. The last 2 national championships really came down to which team had the last man standing. And so 2 years ago against Flagler, we're in a dual match. The match is tied 3-all, comes down to number 6 singles. And unfortunately, the number 6 for Flagler kind of had full body cramps, lower body, and really couldn't finish the match. And so my guy was able to rattle off 10 points in a row and clinch the national championship. And even last year, that same storyline kind of came into effect against Washburn when it came down to the last 2 matches. The box score might have shown 4-2, but we were struggling in the second to last match. So it probably was going to be another 3-3 situation. And fortunately, it was a funny story. We clinched the match on the same court, on the same line. And so at the end of the day, my guys overall were just in better shape. So really, we're going to have a lot of guys and girls who are just in physically better shape, especially when you think about the type of structure that the national championships are held in for college tennis. you don't just play one match in one day and that's it. It's a sequence of matches. And if you're playing singles and doubles, there's some players who are going to play 8 to 10 matches, in a 4 to 5 day window. And of course we play in May when it's super hot, on the court, it'll be over 100 degrees. And so really it's the national championship is a battle of attrition. And so it's my job to have our players in the best shape possible.
You were telling me off air, we're starting the season this weekend, but what's it been like here, kind of practice to get ready for everything for the new season?
Well, it's going good. The players are super receptive. There was a little bit of a hiatus last fall with kind of the transition from Coach Cashman and myself. So there wasn't much organization in terms of practicing and playing for a little bit. But they're excited. It's nice to be able to start off the semester strong with a regime of practice and a little bit more structure. So they're all super motivated. And really for a lot of our matches, they're super motivated because they're really, recruiting opportunities. A lot of the schools that we're playing are going to be potential schools that they could end up transferring to. So every single day, week in, week out, our players have something to prove against most of our opponents.
Okay, for our viewers who are watching this, who are not sure about this, so I'm going to ask this question. So you coach the men's and women's program. How many athletes are on the men's team and the women's team? I want to get that out there.
So in a perfect world, it'll be about 8 to 10 on each. Unfortunately, there was a little bit of turnover on the women's team this past fall with kind of the coaching transition. So there's not a complete roster for the women's team this spring, but recruiting is going well, and we'll have more than a full team for next fall. And so then right now with the guys, we have 9 players. So full team with the guys, everything will be fine there. And then we'll be looking forward to kind of take some of the current players on the women's team this year to build for next year.
All right. So when you take on an opponent, another school, do all 9 guys get to compete, or is some of them like kind of on the bench, if you want to put it that way?
Well, it depends. So, in college tennis, you have the opportunity to play singles and /or doubles. So you really only need 6 players to complete a match. All right. So you have the 6 singles lines, and then you have the 3 doubles lines. So you really only need 6, but everyone doesn't have to play everything. So any combination, if you think about it, 12 guys could play. You could have 6 singles players and then 6 doubles players. But normally, 8 to 10 is a pretty accurate number of the number of players on a team. And then kind of depending on play styles, you can kind of, put people in where they best fit. Some players are better singles players. Some guys are better doubles players. And then you kind of have the autonomy to mix and match and build the best doubles pairings.
All right, so since you have a small team for the women's, is it one of those things, Coach, like, all right, everyone's going to play. You're out there. We got to make sure you're doing it. Is that what it is?
Technically, yes. But really the biggest goal moving forward is to try to help the sophomores find their next school where they'll have to transfer after this semester. So really just trying to facilitate their transfer process to their next institution, and then getting the one returner ready for next year, and then being able to build. So as of right now, we've already got 2 or 3 girls recruited for the fall, and that's a pretty good number. And in the 3rd week of January, so we'll be looking good for next fall.
All right. Do you have expectations for these teams? Like, I demand, I expect, how do you try to do it as the new coach there at Eastern Florida?
Yeah. So obviously, for me personally, I hate losing more than I enjoy winning. And I've been very fortunate and very blessed over the last few years to be in one of the most successful programs, largely in the country. I ended my career at Valdosta State on over a 50-match dual winning streak with back-to-back nationals with some of the best players in the country who have since transferred to big Division I schools. You can't always expect to win, but I think you can always expect to give your best. And so none of our guys really know, I shouldn't say really, no one's ever known who Vince Lombardi is whenever I tell them his famous quote about, if we chase perfection, we can catch greatness. And so really I'm looking for guys and trying to implement just being in love with the process. We're trying to get just about 1% better each day. And the culmination of getting 1% better each day will really pay dividends in May.
They don't know Vince Lombardi. Come on. Look, okay. He's named after the trophy. They've heard of this, correct?
Yeah. So the international guys, and maybe not the girls, but they normally have an NFL team. but not all of them like American football. So, it's kind of hit or miss.
Okay, let's
No,
go.
a funny one. Sorry, a funny one was I had a player
What?
from Brazil. His favorite team was the Green Bay Packers, and he didn't know who Vince Lombardi was. So
Now he knows.
he does now.
Now
That's
he
right.
knows. All right. So, Coach, let's go over you for a minute. So, where are we from originally?
So I was actually born and raised in Valdosta, Georgia. So, kind of got into tennis in a weird way. Like most guys in South Georgia, I grew up playing baseball. And then my middle school, you couldn't play baseball as a sixth grader. You can only play seventh and eighth grade. And so the night before tennis tryouts, we went and bought a racket, and the rest is history. Never put it down. And so the junior college that I played at was about a 30-minute drive from where I lived. I wasn't good enough to play for Valdosta State. They were still a national contender every single year whenever I was a player. But I was able to really get fortunate going the junior college route because I established a lot of pipelines with players, coaches, and then use that as a recruiting platform, to transfer to Valdosta State to start coaching. Our top two players last year at Valdosta State were JUCO national champions. And that process was really great and fortunate for us, and we're able to win because of those guys.
Do you feel like as a former player, it's helped you in your coaching career so far to try to, just try to identify with these players?
Yeah, absolutely. I think being able to have the experience of playing at a competitive level definitely helps you. But what I've seen a little bit more often is, it's not as maybe as big of a strength as you might think. You can know the sport really well and not have maybe competed at the highest level. Because a lot of what you do as a college tennis coach is you really foster a holistic approach to their overall well-being. It's how are they doing in school? How are they doing off the court? Are they, right now the flu is going around. Are they sick? Are they healthy? Do they have medicine? Small little things that you really never think about. And kind of with my experience, if we're checking all the boxes, if we're crossing our T's and dotting our I's off the court, then on the court they excel. So I really like to try to be there for them off the court as well.
Who is your favorite or maybe favorites when it comes to tennis, like pro? Who are your guys growing up?
Well, whenever I was younger playing, I had a little bit of an Italian attitude. So I really liked John McEnroe. So it's pretty much it was McEnroe and yeah, I mean, obviously with current players, I cheer for the Americans whenever we're, at Grand Slams and whatnot. But what I really like, my favorite players are actual guys that I have relationships. If you ask me, oh, are you Federer? Are you Nadal? Or whatever. And my answer is, not really. It's more so we have a lot of guys from when I was coaching who are playing kind of at the semi-professional level. And so I really enjoy keeping up with guys that I know in real life and have worked with before, rather than maybe some of the top players in the world.
I like your references. Vince Lombardi, John McEnroe. You make it like you're 55 years old, but you're not, Coach. That's right. Are you an old soul?
Definitely an old soul trapped in a 29-year-old body.
I like it. I do. Have you ever been to London where Wilmington is played? I can't even say it. Wilmington. Have you? See, I screwed up. I'm a professional broadcaster. Wilmington is in North Carolina. Okay. No, I can't even pronounce it. Now I'm laughing. Have you been to London to the grass court? Have you seen it?
I've not. I've only been to the French Open and the U.S. Open.
What are those experiences like going there?
The U.S. Open was awesome. I was able to go with one of my former players at Valdosta State. He was really good friends with one of the players from Italy who was playing. And so he got us tickets, and we were able to go watch his matches. And so it's always a lot nicer to be able to get helped out to go to events like that. And then I have actually a terrible story about the French Open that I shouldn't tell on the air.
You don't have to
anywhere.
We don't. All right. We'll keep that for next time.
Okay.
That's what we'll do for that. I'll end with this with Coach, and I appreciate coming on. And okay, before I ask a question, who are you guys taking on this weekend then to start the season?
So starting off coaching career here at Eastern Florida, we take on Flagler this Saturday at 2:00 in St. Augustine. So it'll be fun. Played them many times over the years, and like I've referenced, I've beaten them and lost to them at national tournaments. So they have a really great program. That they run their teams really well. and it's going to be a really competitive match.
Okay, I want to end with this, back with the recruiting. You were talking earlier about type of players you're looking for, and they got to be conditioned, they got to be ready for you. So if you get a player on campus and they're like, Coach, I want to succeed here at Eastern Florida, then I want to go move up to maybe Division I, or I want to go professional. What type of advice do you tell those types of players to try to get them in the right direction?
Well, it definitely requires a little bit of realism. I think kind of adopting a little bit of a different role here at the junior college level than kind of if you're at a Division I or D2. You're trying to retain those great players. You're not trying to have them transfer. Versus here, it's the exact opposite. It's our job to help them find that next great opportunity, and really, I think just being honest with the player about expectations, about because you want to try to chase a goal that's attainable. And so really, I think if you focus kind of one day at a time and take match by match, that's a lot of what we do. Is each of our matches are really recruiting opportunities. The JUCO National Championship always has, tons of Division I coaches out there recruiting. It's really fun to watch coaches walk up to your players at that event, and you kind of see that opportunity that they're being exposed to. So I think really just keeping your eyes and ears open, and also too, even whenever someone's not there, like word travels. There's scores are reported, coaches talk to other coaches, and word travels fast if you got a stud down here in Melbourne, Florida.
Great stuff. Coach, thank you so much for coming on. Good luck as the new coach here at Eastern Florida, and I hope I can get you on again sometime. All right?
Absolutely. Thanks so much for having me, Mark.